I would like to call the October Planning Commission of the City of Auburn to order. If we can, please have roll call.
Dana Camp,
Here.
Nanette Reese,
Here.
Vanessa Eccles,
Here.
Jennifer Loveren,
Here.
Joseph Astrup, Phil Chancellor,
Here.
Jennifer Stevens,
Here.
Oscar Mosley, Walker Davis.
Here.
Thank you so much. At this time, I would like to give a brief overview of the process. The commission will be presented with agenda items by the staff. A public hearing will be opened as appropriate, and this will be the opportunity for you to address the commission about the agenda item at hand. We want everyone to be heard, and we ask that you keep your time to 5 minutes and your comments relevant to the case at hand. The public hearing is not a Q&A. The questions that may arise will be answered once the hearing is closed, as well as please don't forget to sign in after you speak. After everyone has spoken, the public hearing is closed. The public will not be able to have additional comments. At that time, the representative, applicant, and staff will then have the opportunity to answer any questions and respond to any comments brought up during the public hearing. The commission will vote based on state and local laws and the city's comprehensive plan 2030. In addition, the Planning Commission is an advisory board to the City Council, except in the case of subdivision plats. All other decisions will be made by City Council after consideration of the Planning Commission's position. Thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to open citizens' communication. If there is anything on tonight's agenda that is not on tonight's agenda that you would like to come forward and speak about, please do so now. Seeing no one, we do not currently have any old business.
No.
Okay. We will move to consent agenda. This evening, our consent agenda is brought to us and includes packet meeting minutes from September 8th, regular meeting minutes from September 14th, and 6 items. Is there any items that need to be removed from the consent agenda, commissioners?
I'm going to request that number 3, final plat for Hanson Farm subdivision be pulled, please.
I have a motion to pull Hanson.
Yeah, you need a second.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to pull Hanson off the consent agenda. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. And the reason for the removal is recusal of Ms. Lovern. Okay. At this time, we will need to vote on what we pulled off first. So,
All right, so
So, Madam Chairman, may I please be recused?
yes, please.
Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, we have a final plat for Hanson Farm subdivision. This does not require anything that's pulled from consent agenda and final plat, so no public.
I'll move to approve FP 2025-023 Hanson.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda.
yeah.
We'll wait for Ms. Lovern to come back and reconvene.
She needs to join us. It's only 30 seconds.
Truly sequestered today. Welcome back.
And with the return of our commissioner, I'd like to renew my motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. On to new business.
All right, so we have a zoning text amendment. So this is kind of part of the effort that staff has made to just kind of periodically review the zoning ordinance and identify any items that need to be changed from requests that we get throughout the year, or just kind of running into omissions that we notice or things that we find that haven't worked. So in this zoning text amendment, if you want to go to the next slide. So we had, there are 2 parts of this, and so I'm going to tackle the first part. And so we had a gentleman come in several weeks ago who was trying to rezone who was trying to annex and rezone to NC40. And lo and behold, when we were looking at it, NC40 does not have any bulk regulations, even though NC40 is a zoning district. It's a single neighborhood off of Hamilton Hills Drive that already exists. And when we reviewed our ordinances, one of the notes from 1996 was that NC40 was omitted and that these regulations were not created. And so I had staff pull Table 5.2 with the zoomed in version of the two zoning districts that were on both sides of it, one that was smaller and one that was greater. The bulk regulations that are recommended as the amendment for Table 5.2 to add for NC40 is the average in between these two. So NC48 and NC39, we have drafted a letter. We'll be sending that letter out to the residents of Hamilton Hills Drive to inform them why we are adding this. That way it isn't just something that happens upon them. Like I said, I mean, it already exists. It's been a noted omission for 30 years that we needed to address. So that is what this zoning amendment is about for NC40, just adding something that really already should have existed. And like I said, if you do not live where Hamilton Hills is, this does not affect you. This really doesn't affect them either. Their lots were already, the zoning district was designed to fit that neighborhood anyway. So there was just correcting an omission. And then the second part of the zoning text amendment had to do with solar panels. And so, like I said, we've received some inquiries on that, not necessarily from, as planning didn't receive any from any residents. Codes and inspection staff has, and so they've had to regulate this on a residential level and then also on an industrial level. And so there have been several instances where they'll come over and they'll ask us, how do we want to regulate this? We don't have any text there's nothing in the zoning ordinance that regulates solar panels. And currently we've been kind of treating them as accessory uses. And so the scale of this really has ranged from people who want to do it, and I think less than 10, I think is the number that the building official gave me in town. And then for industrial park, there have been several European countries or several other European businesses and other foreign companies that needed to add solar panels to their structure to meet their own company standards, and they wanted ways to regulate them. And so the one thing that I think we talked about in the packet meeting was that what was up with the conditional use for solar panels being the primary use, and we talked about that, how that is traditionally, just kind of nationally, that has been the thing that has been the hot button for a lot of different places, of not wanting significant acreage to be bought up with hopes of it then being a solar panel field, even though it's only like a 20-year use or something like that. But that will remain a conditional use. Everything else would just be treated as an accessory structure, just kind of similar to the windmill standards. I know there were also some questions about, do we want to police things? The solar panels being on the front of the house. We talked about it. So there are several provisions to allow for people who have a south-facing house or a street-facing south house to capture sunlight with their solar panels by not having them on the house. So the ordinance as it reads would allow somebody to have a posted solar panel in their side yards that could face the south. It would also allow, and it's also in the text, solar panels can be taller than the primary structure. And so even if they lived in a place that had tight setbacks and performance subdivision, it could extend up past the house to garner the sunlight. And so that's something that I know you guys mentioned y'all wanted to talk about and possibly change. So if you guys want to have solar panels to be allowed on the roof, you can. I just wanted to point out that there are two provisions that would allow for someone who was in a situation where their house was facing south that they could still capture sunlight and it not be on the roof. That was really it. And so, like I said, the extent of the zoning text amendments have to do with adding the bulk regulations for NC40 and then also adding regulations to regulate solar panels in residential and industrial scale. Thank you. So, if you guys have any questions, happy to answer them. And then if anybody has any questions in the public hearing, happy to answer those as well.
Okay. Any current comments or discussion before I open the public hearing? Okay, this does require a public hearing. If anyone would like to come forward and speak to us about these text amendments, please do so now. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, do you have any comments or questions?
Can you talk a little bit more? I'm kind of, the solar panel being taller than the house.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, I can see it being on the house, typically they're on a roof. But
Saying you could build a structure that.
Yes, you can, and so I guess so. If someone wanted to do that, and I guess for as far as accessory structures go and height of the primary structure, so for instance, for people who have flagpoles in the yard, flagpoles cannot exceed the height of the accessory structure. It's really just kind of accessory structure. But I guess for something that is functional, like a windmill or the solar panels, those can, because what they are trying to capture does actually depending on the situation, them being able to get high enough to take advantage of something, whether that be trees, whether that be the shadow of the primary structure. So that is why it is able to exceed the height of the primary structure. And then also, like I was saying, so, and I think that's a fair caveat given the restriction that it cannot be on the front-facing street side of the roof. And like I said, it's so it can reach up and get out of the shade of something. And so, like I said, they can either operate on the side yard or they can exist in the backyard and then extend past that. And I think it's 12 feet is what it can be higher than the primary structure. And I think also that'll be.
so there's a limit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a limit. It's not like you'd be it'd be like this 80-foot pole in someone's yard. It wouldn't be that.
Needle.
No. And I guess I'll also just to point out, like I said, we do not. It's not that this has become pervasive in town. I think the building official says ever since he's been here, he thinks there are 10 in town total on the residences. So.
Thanks.
Okay, commissioners, questions, comments, motions?
Well, I'll move to approve ZT 2025, the zoning ordinance text amendment.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, subdivision regulations. Okay, so this is kind of in two parts too, and I guess also there's an amendment to the second part, and we'll get to it. And that's what I've handed out to everybody. It just kind of has to do with the second part of the text. So there were, so in our subdivision reg, sewers mentioned 30 plus times, and it is not clearly defined as what sewer is, and so this is a clarification point to strictly define, that way we're all on the same page, staff, governing bodies, and also any potential applicants and engineers about what sewer is defined as, that way there's no confusion. And so we are just defining what sewer is and kind of what we mean when sewer is mentioned in the subdivision regs. Like I said, that plays a role for lot minimums, different things when you're inside the optimal boundary, outside the optimal boundary, different things like that. Like I said, public sewer, like I said, for different things just needed to be defined, that way we're all on the same page for it. So it's just those definitions being defined. And then on the subdivision regulations, the second part of the amendment had to do with adding the county engineer's signature block for all plats. And so the origin of this, just joint conversation with some issues that we've been having with condo plats slipping through. And so for everybody in the crowd who may not be familiar, without getting too technical, so people have the option to condo plat things. And so in the past, it's really just been, that's how we've kind of handled it. We may have an MUD when that's multiple buildings on one lot. And instead of actually conveying land, which would be fee simple subdivisions, people to go a condo plat subdivision. And so that may be a land condo, and we do have regulations now that regulate land condos. Land condos are treated as subdivisions and must go through the city's process, whether that be administrative or whether that be coming to you all for a land condo. Condo plats are then subdividing the building. So let's say you have a 10-room building, you were going to condo each room or each unit, and so then those did not have to go through our subdivision regulations. So those are totally different, and so some of those are just popping up in different places, just kind of bypassing us, bypassing the county. And so sometimes we would have them where we would review the MUD and it'd be a part of a PDD in a larger thing, or sometimes it just bypassed us entirely. And so where we were trying to capture with requiring the county engineer's signature block on all of the plats in the city, I guess, was to stop this omission of condo plats bypassing the subdivision regulations entirely. And so the amendment that we have really kind of speaks more to narrowing the scope of the county engineer's signature only being required on condo plats. So I'm going to read what the amendment is. And then I guess you guys can make the motion for the amendment, and then the amendment will be reflected in the minutes verbatim. So here is the amendment. So signature block for the planning director, city engineer, and for subdivision and condominium plats in the planning jurisdiction outside of the corporate limits. The county engineer certifying approval of the plat.
Is that for both the final plats and administrative subdivisions?
Correct. And so, like I said, so this is an attempt to shut this loophole down on people condoing buildings and then avoiding, or saying they're condoing a building and then avoiding the subdivision regulations, pretty much. Or just using, like I said, I mean, there's a lot of just condo plats, people just condoing land, people condoing buildings. Like I said, and people were not being seen by the county, they were not being seen by the city, and then people would go record them, and then it'd pop up. It was, like I said, causing issues on both ends.
Thank you. The amended language. Would you like for us to vote on that separately? Or does it?
Yes, so you would need to vote on the amendment, and then you would need to vote on the amended language.
Can I answer? I was just going to add to this, and is adding to what Justice was discussing, and this is something that came up. The county engineer approached us. We began seeing some things where some land condos have been recorded and not reviewed by anybody. According to state law, that did meet a subdivision criteria that should have gone through the review of the city and the county, as those were in our planning jurisdiction. So in discussion, the county engineer and I met with the probate judge, and the resolution was that the requirement that we're proposing tonight, the county engineer will be proposing a similar change to the county code. I think this month, maybe next month. I can't remember when they meet next, but that would basically provide a codification of that requirement for a signature on a land condo, so that we're basically bringing those into our subdivision regulations, which they should be.
But it's required by the state already, and they just didn't do it?
Well, the state has certain certain standards, and for land condos that I think maybe our attorney can speak to that specifically. He studied it.
Yeah, the land condominium, a true land condominium meets the definition of a subdivision, and so the courts have held that it is a subdivision that has to comply with.
So it should be regulated like one?
Yes,
And that's-
correct.
and that's what we're doing with this change.
And so, but the issue were people were just going under the condominium law, meeting those requirements, filing it with the probate court, thinking they had a lawful condominium, when in fact they did not, because they did not go through the subdivision process.
So is there gonna be some sort of remedy to that sort of, the things that have already come
Well,
through?
I don't know that we can go back and fix some of the things that have come through. They're going to have to deal with those on a case-by-case basis, but
Facetious.
But no, I mean, I think a good point on that, as you mentioned, it does and should be subject to that. By requiring the signature block is what will catch the people in the probate office when these plats are submitted that say, to know that, hey,
They need that signature,
they need a signature
which
block,
implies they went through the right process.
which would kick it to the county engineer, and then the county engineer engage us in anything in our PJ.
Good.
Okay, this agenda item, subdivision regulation amendment, has a public hearing.
Yep.
They can hear the amendment and this at the same time, 2 separate public hearings.
Oh, no, just one public hearing.
Okay. 1 public hearing, 2 votes. Got it. Okay, good evening. If anyone would like to come forward, I'll open the public hearing for the agenda item for subdivision regulation amendment. If you would like to come forward at this time, please do so. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, we do need to vote on the amendment first.
And I would add that the language that was read out loud needs to be amended twice, both in, I think it's Article 3, E1M, and 3K1M. So the record would need to reflect that both of those are being amended to the language that was previously read.
Okay. It's a good motion. Go for it. Someone's got to do it.
Okay, so I think I need to make a motion to accept the amendment as written for E1M and K1M.
Of Article
For-
3.
I'm sorry?
Of Article 3.
Yep, of Article 3, excuse me, of Article 3 of subdivision regulations, MS 2025-049. Is that correct?
That is perfect.
So
That
good.
is perfect.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the amendment to the subdivision regulations. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Ms. Lovern. If we now can move to approve the amendment that includes the sewer comment and changes.
That one's easier.
Okay,
That one was easier, so I'll take that one. I move to approve MS 2025-049 subdivision regulation amendments.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you so much. All right, gonna do the next three together.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right. So if you just want to go to the next one.
okay.
Okay. So this item. So this is 3 items. This is 2 pre-zoning requests, 1 to DDH, 1 for a PDD, and then the conditional uses associated with it. Like I stated in the meeting on Monday, I've had conversation with the applicant. They would like to table this to a date certain of November 13th, which is the planning commission meeting in November. But we'll be tabling all 3 items, and so there will be no public hearing for those tonight. The public hearing will take place at the November planning commission meeting.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, I do need a postponement to date certain.
Okay. Move to, can we do them all at one time?
Yeah.
Or do we have to do them all separately?
Since they're separate on the agenda, I would do each item separately.
Move to postpone to a date certain, November 13th, 2025, case RZ 2025-017.
I have a motion and a second to postpone to date certain 11/13/25. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right. Move to approve the
Whoa,
postpone.
whoa, whoa. Move to postpone.
Move to postpone
All moving.
RZ 2025-018
Second?
Did she
to a
say
date certain, November the 13th, 2025. Sorry.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to postpone to 11/13/25. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And the third one?
Okay. Move to approve.
Now,
Move to postpone. Sorry. Move to postpone to a date certain, November 13, 2025, CU 2025-049.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to postpone to 11/13/25. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thank you for taking all that on.
I'm so used to seeing the other way.
Welcome.
Good afternoon. All right, this request is the Smith annexation. It's for the annexation of approximately 31 acres. As you can see, it's just north of Miss James Road right here and on the south side of West Farmville Road. It's currently outside the city limits, but it's touching rural, and it's going to be involved in a rezoning request involving all of that land that is rural to the south. It is within our optimal boundaries. You could see well within the optimal boundary. Everything shown in this image is. And really, those are the main points of this property, and I can answer any questions about the annexation case if y'all had any off the top of your head.
Questions? Annexation? Okay. Annexations do not require a public hearing, so commissioners, if you have questions, comments, or motions.
I'll move to approve case AX 2025-012 Smith property annexation.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, this is case 2 of 2, dealing with that property and the additional to the south. This is a recommendation required for approximately 58 acres going from rural to large lot residential district, otherwise known as LLRD. As you can see on this prox map, it's the same piece of property that was voted on for the annexation, but it adds the property to the south that's in rural, totaling approximately 58 acres. So there's 2 site plans I'm going to show you. This outlines the zoning that we're talking about. You can see that this tiny portion right here is left green, and that's the only portion of the total 63-ish acres that is going to remain rural, while the rest is rezoned to LLRD. This is because the developer has plans different from the single-family lots that they want on the rural piece of land, and LLRD is more restrictive than rural, so they've decided to keep that 1 3-ish acre piece in the zone that it currently sits in. Yeah, I can answer any questions. As you can see, the neighborhood around is mostly residential, and LLRD would be a transitional zone to go from the DDHs to the north. It falls in between those DDHs and rural in density, so.
So how does this, it talks in one of your comments here, comment number 3 talks about the sewer of all things.
Yes.
So how's that, is this within the new, gonna be within the new definition of a sewer? Because that means, you know, the city has to own it, or a company, you know, it's not, because when I see low pressure, privately maintained low pressure sewer system, that doesn't sound like it matches up.
Yeah, I'd like to swing it to
Yeah,
water
I
That's the
resources.
issue, that's why it's a comment.
Yeah. So I guess kind of like we talked about, this was one of the aspects of this rezoning. What this was gonna do, and I guess so I guess if you could go to the layout, there we go. Okay, so on the annexation, and I guess the point of kind of this rezoning of going to LLRD instead of rural was the inclusion of the major street plan. So there's a major street that connects Miss James and Farmville Road. Getting that major street would allow for right of way to go through. That sewer could then connect through to the other side. But I guess the LLRD does talk about the low pressure system. What the low pressure system does, it does bolster the buffer between DDH and rural. So pretty much that would end the extension of any sewer past this to the west. Like I said, which kind of matches the future land use plan that we've already talked about. I think there's a comment in there from Worm that this subdivision does not meet the threshold for gravity sewer from a lot count standpoint. And so since it is under that threshold, that low pressure system is the preferred from here. And I guess we kind of talked about it, that it wouldn't leave an exorbitant amount of maintenance on the property owners, that there was no concern from staff side that these would fail, and there should be no concern from property owners that these would fail, and kind of leave these people out with a several $1,000s replacement. And I guess if I tripped up on anything, Chris, you can add to that.
No, I think you covered it well. The only thing you ask about the definition, the public sewer portion of that definition will be available. That low pressure system
Okay.
will actually contribute to the
All
public
right,
sewer.
I wasn't, I
That's
did
right.
not understand that. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thanks.
This does require a public hearing. If that's okay, Commissioners, I'd like to go ahead and open the public hearing. Anybody would like to come on Miss James Road rezoning? I'll open that now. Please don't forget to sign in afterwards.
Yes, ma'am, I got it. I just want to know
Your
if
name and address.
It's Brant Reibling, and I'm on 1931 West Farmville Road. I just want to know if I could make this conditional or request a buffer or a screening fence. All that's rural next to my house, and I think some of that's going to be gone. I mean, I got small kids, and that's why we bought the house, right? It's right next to a rural zoning area. So I'd like to put in that request and see if y'all might take it up for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to come and speak before this agenda item? Okay, seeing no one. Well,
So to answer your question, so
I'll close the
In-
public hearing.
oh yeah.
I'll close the public hearing at this time.
So thank you. So to answer your question, I know there's a lot lay out here. This isn't a plat yet, and the time to request conditions as far as fences and buffering goes, that'll be on the preliminary plat. So that also requires a public hearing. You'll also be notified for that as well. And so I guess we'll just kind of make a note of that. The applicant is here. I mean, I'm sure they heard that. That's something that they can also take into account. But as what I'm saying is that the time to put that condition on it would be on the preliminary plat, not necessarily on the rezoning.
Okay, perfect. Good to have it on the record, though. Okay, I guess I have a question, and I don't recall us speaking about this at Packet. Is the reason behind leaving that one spot rural?
Yeah, so great question. So I feel like it was probably several meetings ago where we approved the amendment to rural conditional uses and to
Yes.
add for more commercial entertainment uses in the rural zoning district. This is something where the developer wanted to take advantage of that. They always saw commercial as being a part of this subdivision, whether they were going to do more intensity or if they were going to do something similar to this. And so they were trying to figure out what they could rezone it to, and we let them know, like, hey, we recently changed the rule designation to allow for several conditional uses. So they think they'll be able to garner some commercial on this lot under that commercial conditional use provision that you guys recently approved.
So in the future, it was not to,
Yeah, it will not be
for
future.
density.
Yeah, no.
It was just-
Yeah, no, it will not be. It's not being left so they can come back and do DDH and do townhomes or something. That is not what it's for. The purpose of this is going to be destination commercial in some sense, whether that be, like I said, the uses that were already kind of allocated for it, or if it's another commercial entertainment use that they can find. But they were pretty excited when we told them about it, so they're excited to try it.
That's rare.
So I have a question.
That's good.
Would that commercial use be brought before this?
Yes, yes. Another great question. So all of the commercial uses that we added to rural were added under being a conditional use. And so those conditional uses, like I said, they'll need a site plan, they'll need to meet the specific development standards for whatever use that if they have any, and then they'll have to go to planning commission and council for it to be approved.
Okay.
Good.
Any other questions, commissioners, or motions?
I'll move to approve case RZ 2025-019, Mrs. James Road rezoning to LLRD.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And that goes to public, city council when? Do we know? 21st.
Yeah.
Got it. No, I'm sorry.
No. Can go back to It's in November. Yeah, so it'd be the second meeting in November. It should be on the date. Yeah, 11/18.
Good evening.
Okay, so this is a request for preliminary approval of a 4-lot conventional subdivision in the Conservation Overlay District. This is lot 18 of the Adair Phase 1, located at the northern terminus of Pine Needle Place. It's approximately 12 and a half acres, and they are conventional lots. I can answer any questions if you have them.
I thought we didn't do plats under 6 lots.
This is for right-of-way.
Ah.
Yes, as well. So,
Yep.
What'd you just say?
right-of-way,
For right-of-way
dedicated right-of-way.
dedication. Okay. Do you have questions? Or we open a public hearing? I'll go ahead and open the public hearing for Adair Phase 1B, preliminary plat. If anyone would like to come forward at this time. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners? Motions, questions,
Okay, I'll approve case PP 2025-025 for approval, Adair Phase 1B.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
This is the final plat approval. Same 4 lots. I can answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you. This is a final plat for Adair Phase 1B. Final plat does not require a public hearing. Commissioners,
Move to approve final plat 2025-026, Adair Phase B.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right. So this is a request for conditional use approval for several uses located at Hilton Garden Drive. That's in the Comprehensive Development District. The lot is approximately 3.62 acres, and the applicant is proposing to construct a warehouse facility that offers spaces for businesses to operate out of. The applicant has opted to pursue potential uses at the onset of the development. So the base use, I guess, would be warehouse, commercial support warehouse, and every other use listed under commercial support, road service, and office. Those are all possible tenants. We never received a tenant list, but I'm sure the applicant can speak to who they expect to be renting to. I can answer any questions if you have them.
Okay. All right. You have any questions before public hearing? Do you have any additional information? Okay.
Not really.
Okay. This does require a public hearing. I'm sure there'll be questions afterwards. At this time, I would like to open the public hearing for conditional uses for Auburn Flex Works.
Evening.
Hello.
Lee Tharp, Cadre Engineering for the applicant. I'm going to try to get out in front of a couple of questions, but if I get through this and y'all got any more, just holler at me. Couple of things. I know you mentioned the tenant list. We talked about that a good bit at a pre-app, worked through some of that. The reason we didn't provide an explicit tenant list is because they don't have one at the moment. They're trying to make sure the project's viable before they lease out any spaces. But that's why we've gone after these certain lists. This list of conditional uses under the all others group within that CDD commercial support. So that's why there's no tenant list. I think that the intent of the applicant and the future owner of the facility would be to get all this approved, and then if there are any potential tenants that come to them wanting space that would fall outside of that wouldn't also be a by right use, would come back for its own individual conditional use after the fact. One concern initially during the pre-app with planning staff was they were nervous about policing some of that. They're going to have on-site management of this facility to kind of help control all that good stuff. But I did want to point out that any future uses that wouldn't qualify for what we're talking about tonight would come back to be approved by y'all after the fact. I believe that's all I've got. But again, you got any other questions, please let me know. Happy to answer them. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, at this time, I would like to close the public hearing on Auburn Flex Works. Commissioners? Comments, questions?
I need the applicant back up here.
I sat too far back, so.
Yeah, that's true. Can you explain to me, the building is, how many, it looks like it's all under one roof from this, is it?
Right now, we're showing 3 separate buildings.
Okay,
Honestly, with configuration of, we're generally going for square footage with this conditional use, but I imagine, if you want to go to the site plan real quick.
Yeah, can you go to the next slide?
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I guess not that one. I guess the other one. I'm sorry.
Well, that one doesn't show me
Yeah. Keep going. There we go.
Oh, okay.
There we go. It's a little better.
So this is an example of a similar project they've done in another state that would be the exact same setup as what they're wanting to do here, but it's going to be in multiple buildings. The site plan we've got now is mostly representative of the square footage that we think is viable on the piece of property. My gut tells me just by, how everything's configuring, how it's going to circulate, we may have one more building by splitting the larger L-shaped building that's on that site plan. If you wouldn't mind switching to it. I don't want the clicker. I don't know how to work that. There's a larger L-shaped building on the bottom portion of your site plan there. That corner is going to be a little tough for the interior layout of everything. But in general, just several buildings, tenant spaces split up within those roofs.
Okay.
So there'd be multiple tenants in each building, but they'd all have their own individual spaces, parking associated with that, everything.
Okay, that was my other concern, was the parking, since you don't know who's gonna be in there.
That's
and-
true.
And you've listed several things that are different that may have, that's one thing I was wondering about, is the
Sure.
parking on this layout.
That's a valid concern. So one thing that I think is going to help limit some of that is these are not going to be large spaces. They're all going to be broken up relatively tight. I think, and I don't have the exact mix in my head, but I don't think we're going to have anything over 3,000 square feet in a single space. The other piece of that, the parking is going to meet the zoning ordinance for the standard commercial support. I did want to point out, and I believe this was in the packet. Reed, help me out if it's not in the packet. But one of the uses I believe that we had originally submitted to that staff was not recommending was as like a general retail type use. These spaces are not intended for shop space and, the public to come and purchase goods and services from. It's more, smaller company operational facilities, maybe. I think the other project that they've done elsewhere, there's a lot of, they call it e-commerce, but it's like wholesale type, people buying stuff online. Mostly they're keeping product and then shipping it out of there, kind of deal, but on a smaller scale.
A warehouse, okay,
Similar, that's right.
okay.
So with that in mind, if someone approached them for a restaurant, what would they say? That would be a totally different use.
It would be, correct.
But commercial kitchen is in here, and I think about a commissary kitchen, because we do have a lot of food trucks, et cetera.
There's kind of a need
Talk
for
about a
that.
restaurant bringing in a lot of traffic.
Now,
Well, and anything like that would have to comply with the city's ordinance on when they came to bring that up.
Yeah.
Parking would be a limiting factor.
And I think I'll also that would kind of violate the whole no foot traffic or people kind of coming there for things. That was a pretty big sticking point, and I think the other thing was also fire suppression and kind of what that was going to look like kind of on a larger scale too. And so, yeah.
I have concern that, that because of its location, and it is there at the entrance into and out of Auburn, and we've had conversations for years and years about the entrance into and out of Auburn on Opelika Road. So when I think about this and how it looks aesthetically, even with bottling plant, wholesale distributors, commercial kitchen, it makes me think of large trucks that would be parked in that area. And while I have personally nothing against large trucks, in fact, I actually love them, I don't love seeing them in a location like this where, where there's, and so I'm concerned about this and the way it would look as an entrance and an exit into our city, especially when we just spent a lot of money and time and, just renamed the bridge over there to make it, something special, something we're so proud
So
of.
so along those lines, is this a gateway location? Where we have
So-
a certain gateway,
So I guess if you can go to the prox map.
It looks, to me, it's
Yeah.
kind of buried, it's off of.
It does, but so I guess for anybody who's driven that, I guess I'm one of those people that make the right on Glen and then I shoot off on a Bent Creek. So, but as you know, like you're one of the people who like as you know, like you're climbing as you go up. So a lot of that, I mean, you're not really going to be able to see from the road, and so that is not on. It would not have to meet our 429 corridor standards from a building material standpoint. And so I think, and a lot of the uses, a lot of it's going to be contained internal. And so that was another one of the stipulations. I mean, there will be no outdoor storage. That was one of the things I was asked and came up in the meeting. That would not be allowed. But I do get what you're saying. I mean, there is the storage units that are down on Glen, just kind of right below the airport. But that kind of makes sense. I mean, there's really nothing over there. There's really nothing else that could go there. But yeah, I mean, you in theory, I don't think you'd really be able to see this from the road with there already been buildings there. And also, like I said, I mean, this isn't subject to 429 where there be certain cladding materials required for it.
I guess one of my questions is when you trucks, I know that one of the main entrances is over an easement, right? At what level, like is it phase 3 power that we don't want to do or we're not going to allow, or is it trucks, is it 18-wheelers, or is it just like
Yeah, and so I mean, a lot of it, like I said, I mean, it was just kind of contractor storage yard. I think about the idea of everything kind of behind the mall, of a lot of those different uses, those kind of uses where it's not full scale industrial, it's not even really kind of light industrial. It's just where people may have some of their workshops, where they're working in the building. But like I said, I mean, that's up to y'all if y'all feel that this is like if it's an appropriate use in this location.
That's
what
just
about
it.
those uses?
Yeah, those things behind the mall are not where someone stops off to go to the gas station.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that you will see it from the gas station, you will see, I mean, when you enter and exit our city, I think it will
No, I get that,
be
and
visible.
I guess kind of to your point on it, just kind of about the easements. So we didn't put that on there, but this entire site's kind of layered with easements. I guess it's the east side of that property line that's not touching the street. All easement, just kind of going all the way up. But the other part of this was the square footage requirements. It was going to have to get under some things. I think it was at 48,000 square feet right now, but I think the threshold was 40.
It's 40%.
40%. There we go.
I think we're meeting it with what we got.
Okay.
I love the idea, I just don't love the location for this.
Yeah, and so to the other point, just kind of about the phase 3 power, different uses that we were trying to regulate. I think that was going to be something just kind of on an as-case basis, where we'd probably talk more about this kind of in the DRT process of actually trying to get an idea of kind of what tenants they were chasing or what tenants kind of in other locations that they'd had. Because like I said, I mean, staff was just kind of generally concerned on worst case scenario, finding out about poor storage of something, and then there be an emergency because something exploded, kind of deal, and then not having the fire suppression adequate for that. But that was something that we're probably all gonna have to work through in DRT if this were to be approved.
So that was one of my questions, is like, so CDD allows a ton of uses as it is, like right now. So, for instance, we either say absolutely no to any of these and just let them bring them back as they have them, because the uses are still leading to, what's the height of, the use, are you curbing the use by height of the building and roll-up doors and those kind of things, because you're not a loading dock technically? Do
Yeah,
all the roll-up doors face inside, to your point of not seeing a bunch of doors when you come off the interstate?
It's a fair question. Could you go back to the site plan, please? So under the current layout, the majority of them would face internally to the site. You see that double stack parking lot. There would be, as we have it laid out now, the northern portion of the drawing would have outward facing doors. But that's more, it's facing towards Bent Creek to a point. It is a good bit lower. But yeah, that would be the case. Now, I think that could be remedied maybe with some layout changes, and I don't think we would be opposed to that at all. But I think that would be something that we could fix pretty easily. With regards to the trucks, this is not a fleet yard. There's not going to be any available parking for something like that, other than maybe the occasional delivery, which I would say is probably no different than what you're going to get at Academy, Sam's, even some of the restaurants like Moe's and Baumhauer's that's just as visible from Bent Creek. So I'm not concerned from a use perspective of having any kind of long-term large vehicle parking, again, other than the occasional delivery for whatever business is going in there. From an
Well,
aesthetic
a
standpoint,
bottling plant, which is listed, you're gonna have trucks going in and out.
a bottling plant,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
listed.
that is true. It would be on a very small scale, so consider the space maybe, but that would also be if that's a condition that, you know, that's a use that's not allowed. I don't know that that would be a,
And
Yeah.
then for that traffic coming off Bent Creek, if there are big trucks or whatever, they're having to wind their way around that little road there between Waffle House and the gas station to get there.
not necessarily. We could circulate it a lot of different ways, but it depends on where they're coming from. If they're coming from the interstate, that would be, that's at the light, so that would be a primary point of entry, correct? And it's a fully compliant, based on my understanding, from a dimensional perspective with any other public road within the city. So I'm not concerned about truck circulation through there. Just from a dimensional perspective. We could also evaluate, because that is on the property, right? So that's part of this piece of property that goes all the way to the Bent Creek right away to that light. I mean, if there's some kind of pavement evaluations that we need to do associated with that, I'm sure they'd be willing to do that. We're also going to be required to have a traffic impact study that would speak to some of that.
How are we gonna know what that is?
Do what now?
How are we gonna know what that says?
What the
If we
traffic
don't know what the
study says.
uses are.
That's fair.
Okay, so conditional use, commissioners, if you have any more questions about, for applicant or staff,
I did want to say there's no loading dock.
no loading dock.
Proposed.
No
Thank
loading.
you.
You threw that out.
Our options tonight are,
Options. It's so up in the air.
I mean, you guys can, y'all
can
can prove
remove
it.
all these additions and just let it be.
Yeah, so like I said, there is a litany of choices. So y'all can either approve it, y'all can deny it, y'all can postpone it, y'all can pull conditions off of it and make everything conditional if you want inside of it. I think that seems a little cumbersome, but I think from the ones that you have, real concerns about from an intensity standpoint, where you'd actually like to see and kind of know. And I guess like if you wanted their proposal to be a little more buttoned up, as far as I want to know kind of the users, I want to know what kind of business, what kind of volume they're doing. If there's logistics that we got to talk about, and I guess kind of the possibility of that traffic impact study was going to be if there was going to have to be improvements made to that Glen Hilton Garden intersection from if a light was going to be required and all those different things. Y'all can request more information. Y'all are free to do that. And so like I said, you guys have a litany of choices just kind of before y'all about what you guys want to do. So if it's a question of you guys want more information, I'd say you guys kind of gotta give staff a direction of what that specific information is that you guys want them to include. If you guys aren't comfortable with some of the uses that they've listed, but you're comfortable with other ones, you guys can pull those uses off, or you guys can just flat deny it and make that recommendation to council.
Please confirm that if it's denied, it's 1 year before they can come back.
That is correct, without a substantial change.
Even if it's already zoned CDD and there's uses that are permitted by right.
Yes, and so then what they could do is pursue, by right uses, then it's just straight to DRT pretty much.
So, you can make whatever motion you would like to.
Well, let me ask about that. So what more information do we need? But
I
I'm
don't
sure
think it's about
they
tenant
don't
mix,
know.
I think it's about use,
Right.
I think it's like,
Yeah, and so I guess this kind of what Lee mentioned. So here they have not started pursuing tenants, and like I said in the pre-op they did disclose that this is a business model that they've utilized in another state, and kind of staff was curious about kind of what that tenant list looked like in the other state. It sounds like y'all are kind of curious about that as well, and I think kind of our end of it is especially just kind of depending on if you're going to provide phase 3 power or not, or what kind of spaces were going to be available from up to 3,000 square feet, what kind of potential users that could attract.
but
That's
if I'm putting a tenant in there and my tenant wants 3 of those 3,000 square foot spaces, that's not, limiting me,
No.
but having or not having phase three power may limit, or a loading dock may limit that tenant mix.
Yeah, certainly. And so I mean, like I said, I mean, you guys also have conditions that you guys can place on it. But what it sounds like to me is that it doesn't sound like y'all have enough information to make a decision that y'all are comfortable with. So I mean, if y'all want to postpone it, if y'all want to strip it down a little bit from a usage standpoint, I mean, that's fine. But like I said, if y'all, and I think also, I mean, like they said, the traffic impact study hadn't been done. But I think that's also, we need uses to kind of go off of. And so I think that'd be something where staff and the applicant can work together, kind of make the hypothetical worst case scenario to see what that would tip. But I mean, I think that's what that would look like.
I mean, I think it's already zoned and has approved uses that are by right, that they could move forward and try to fit. If not, I feel like conditional uses, one by their tenant mix, could come and request it. Denying it for a year seems like, I mean, that's.
No, that's not necessary.
Right. Correct. So,
So are y'all? Oh yeah. So I guess just kind of my question would be: Are y'all seeking to postpone for more information, just kind of like traffic study, tenant mix, or?
yeah, I'm totally good with
Is one
that.
month good or two?
Yeah, I mean, totally up to you. If you want to go one or 2 months, I mean, that's fine.
Can make these decisions.
Do we think the traffic study could be provided in a month? And a tenant list, 2 months?
I guess that'd be a question for the applicant.
Okay.
2 months.
Feel
I
good
would
with
like to
60
make
days.
a
2
motion
months.
to postpone.
What is
Let me
that
get
date?
let me get the
December
date for you.
Thank you.
I would like to make the motion to postpone Auburn Flex Works CU 2025052 to the date December 11th, 2025, for additional information that includes the traffic study and potential tenant use.
All right.
Names.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for postponement to December 11th, 2025. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, so next on our agenda is conditional use for Country Club Cottages. This property is located at the west side of Country Club Drive. It is in the Corridor Redevelopment District Suburban, so CRDS. This is a prox map of the area. You can kind of see Country Club Drive is right here off of Palaika Road. And you can also see Duke Circle's kind of to the north. So kind of think just right out the edge of Auburn city limits. This is the future land use map as well. You can kind of see how it's just kind of on the outskirts of city. So yeah. And this is an exhibit, kind of just showing the overall, just what the cottages will look like. This is a multiple unit development, despite what the wording of cottages does mean. That's just what the applicant has decided to call the project. So, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any questions? At first glance, this does require a public hearing.
I've got a couple questions about staff comments.
Okay.
One discusses the zoning ordinance prohibits residential uses from developing on or residential units taking direct access from the corridor frontage, which is not on the corridor, it's not on Opelika Road. So I'm just sort of confused why that's there for us to consider if it's not really seems to be an issue. Maybe that next sentence helps me understand that a little bit, but I'm not sure why that was even addressed for us to consider.
Right. I mean, it's just a clarifying comment. I mean,
Okay,
we are
okay.
talking about Corridor Redevelopment District S, so it just, as a footnote, is to be there.
Further down, the next staff comment under B on that page 2, I just sort of see a potential precedent we're setting in this area. That's one of my concerns, is we're maybe setting a precedent that may develop more, and I'm not sure that's what we truly feel like should go there. Do you have a comment about it?
So-
Retail? Not retail, but
Yeah, great. Man, this kind of got a little loud on me. All right. Okay, so mixed use, just kind of reiterating that mixed use can be horizontal and vertical. I guess kind of odd thing about CRDS, and I think also specifically that this location, just kind of taking everything into context. CRDS, like I said, I think it might be more permissive than CDD. I guess that they don't really have like the residential component that CDD does, and then also just kind of with it being up against the railroad, it's really just kind of locate there at your own at your own risk kind of deal. But I guess further to the northeast, there was the Duke Circle. That was a pretty intense mixed use development where there's commercial towards Opelika Road, and then there's the almost 40 units of residential in the back. This and the other uses around there, I've gotten multiple calls. There's just been a lot of property over there that's just kind of been changing hands, and so some of it, I mean, not retail commercial. Some of it is commercial as it's just not residential. But I mean, I've gotten questions about limousine services. I've gotten questions about people expanding their tow truck operation. I mean, there's just an entire host of uses that can just operate over there. There's also existing houses down there. I don't think this is Country Club Drive. I don't think the commercial development director is going to lose any sleep if all of these things became residential, or if all these things were, like I said, kind of commercial support uses, just because of the nature of the site. So I think it still does meet the mixed use kind of definition. And like I said, it's really just a hodgepodge of uses, just because one is the periphery of the city. It's also slammed up against the railroad track, but then also internal connectivity kind of in between all of them. Probably something that can be improved, but I think that's something that, we would need a bigger redevelopment and property owners to kind of agree to, whether that be access easements, connecting pieces, or kind of add more outlets on Opelika Road. But like I said, I think any redevelopment over here, and like just kind of from a zoning standpoint, and also just kind of staff side, really won't be met with too much opposition unless you try to take direct access off of Opelika Road as a residence. That'd be an issue, just kind of with the traffic of that road.
because one of my concerns is too, as a lot of places, is traffic, and that's a difficult place to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And for students, you're going to have students there probably, most likely. And limited sight
it-
view there, I think.
Yeah, and so I guess
Intensity is not.
Yeah. So the Duke Circle project was definitely far more intense, but I think kind of Opelika Road as a whole, kind of from an access management standpoint, I know engineering does have a plan for access management. I mean, you guys have seen it implemented down by Niffers and different sections of it, but with that portion just kind of being where it is, it just hasn't been something where we've identified. Well, I think we've identified what the solutions are. It hasn't been implemented yet. So access management, and I think especially just the internal connectivity and the flow of in between traffic, isn't something that's been worked out, because I think we're all just kind of looking at this going, anybody trying to make a left out of there at certain times of the day going to be incredibly difficult.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to open the public hearing for Country Club Cottages. If anybody would like to come forward and speak. Hi.
My name's Jenny Jones. I am the designer for the owner, and I'm on the zoning commission in my town, and the order of business is a little bit different, so I don't know if you need to speak with me or not, but if you had further questions that I could answer, I'm happy to, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
for coming
Thank you.
forward, and please sign in.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Public hearing for Country Club Cottages, if anybody would like to come forward. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, if you have questions for the staff or anyone. Motions?
Move to approve KCU 2025-053.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Conditional uses tonight. Thank you for moving the microphone and not the.
Yeah, I'm trying to get away from actually lifting it. It just causes too much damage. All right, so this request is for conditional use approval for a performance residential development, specifically an academic detached dwelling unit, or ADDU. It's a lot easier to say ADDU. It's located at 415 North Ross Street. It's just off of Opelika Road, and as you can see, it's surrounded on all sides by the CRDU zoning district as well. That's Corridor Redevelopment District Urban. So what I'd like to touch on with this site plan is mixed use 2 and the CRDU zoning district deal. The CRDU zoning district specifically deals with the transition from the more urban areas to a suburban area. So this, like my last case, is more of a transitional property. And what's being proposed with an ADDU is 5 bedrooms, 5 baths. So when you hold it against the already existing uses that are surrounding the area, the commercial that fronts here and right across the street, the more multi-unit development on top, and some of the single family to the south, it's fits within the mixed use 2 future land use designation, as well as the intent of the Corridor Redevelopment District urban. So since it aligns with both, or I just wanted to outline that it does align with both, and that I can answer any specific questions y'all might have about any of the comments, but.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I thought that I saw a different parking option.
You probably
Can-
did. There have
you
been
probably did.
multiple. There have been multiple iterations. I think we're on our third. The applicant has another one. There's parking and the drive aisle. There are a lot of different components, literal moving parts to this. So I'm sure the applicant would love to talk to you about it with a different site plan. But yeah, there have been several.
We received a
That was
newer
my
one
question, too.
yesterday. I can't remember which one specifically y'all might have seen, but we received a new one yesterday. But since this one was published and was sent out with was what the site plan review was done on for conditional use, we went forward with this one. But I'm sure the applicant would.
I was going to ask, is this tandem parking?
Oh,
This
man.
one, it seems to be.
Man.
Maybe
I
the
mean, this,
I saw one that worked that
So
made this necessary.
yeah, and so I guess kind of we've to my chagrin, it's something that we as a staff need to kind of address. I know our engineering department has looked at it. Other engineering departments, other engineers, kind of across the nation have different cities have standards that regulate it, and it's something that there, isn't frowned upon. I guess just kind of internally, we probably need to make a decision on it because I get it from a functional square footage space and kind of the geometry of sites. It functions kind of as a quasi parking reduction, but that's kind of really neither here nor there. I think it's just we're starting to see it a lot more, and before it becomes too pervasive on sites, just kind of as like technically they meet. We just need to figure out how we feel about it and what we're gonna do as far as from a policy standpoint. But I think the other site plan that the applicant has does not utilize tandem parking, so there's that.
That's all gonna be shaked out and
That yeah. All that be internal, but I guess kind of like I said, I mean, this isn't the only project where there's been tandem parking. I guess they would say this is a little different since all the people would live there. It's not like a massive apartment complex where you could be parked behind somebody who lives on a different floor who just may not be there, maybe gone for a week. So it's like I said, it's just something that we need to hash out internally, probably sooner rather than later.
This does require a public hearing. So I'm going to open the public hearing for 415 North Ross Street ADDU.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm Margie Ragland, and I'm the property owner of the adjacent property, 327 Opelika Road. I do have an easement for that entire driveway. My driveway is on Ross behind. My driveway takes up half of the driveway, but I have an easement for the entire driveway that grants me access to that entire driveway. half of my driveway is on their property, but I do have an easement that I have egress to that whole space to get in and out of my driveway. My concern is the parking. If it's a very small lot there, it's like 0.19 acres, I believe. The little house that's on there now, which is the tear down, is like 750 square feet. And I just don't know how, if it's going to be 5 people living there with 5 different vehicles, how they're all going to get in and out of there. You know, I mean, I'm used to living around students. I love students. It's fine with me. I love my house. I have a pomegranate tree. I have all kinds of beautiful foliage. I have a great hedge. And I really love my house, and I plan to stay in my house and not sell that property. But I have to say, since I bought the property in '92, the city has taken part of the property to widen Ross. They've also taken part of my front yard to beautify Opelika Road. So I'm keeping my little lot that's still there, but I think I've given a lot to the city, and I like where my house is, and I don't have any problem with them building a student housing or ADDU, but I'm just a little concerned how people are going to get in and out, and that I still have access to get in and out of my drive. So that's my concern.
Thank you. Don't forget to sign in, please.
Oh, I think, I did.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else who would like to come forward and speak on this agenda item? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Mike, seems obvious. Is it a shared drive?
Yes, yes, it is. And so I think there were several comments the engineering has made, just kind of related to the driveway from that regard.
What is that? Welcome.
Welcome. Can you pull up that plan, please? So, Brett Basquin with the Foresight Group, representing the applicant. We ran title on the property. There's no easement that showed up for access, for shared access or cross access or a shared driveway easement. Nothing shows up that's recorded in title, so we don't have access to that. In regards to that, we are required to provide a 15-foot buffer on that side anyways. So if a portion of her driveway has to remain on our lot, you know, we can accommodate it with the current site plan. When I first got presented this project, there was a previous staff report written on this project that somebody submitted and requested conditional use, and then they pulled it before it came to you, but there was a staff report. And in that, it was requested that parking be in the rear, okay? And so we were trying to accommodate parking in the rear with that. In this particular use and on this particular site and in this particular zoning, we're in an urban situation, in an urban zoning, which has more of a street-fronted urban form to it along Opelika Road and along the zoning. But the ADDU requires a 20-foot front setback. So this building is 20 feet back in order to meet the ADDU front setback requirement. If I was doing some other form of a use that was permitted by right or conditional that I would be before you, most of the time I would probably be able to have a 5-foot front building setback. This building would be pulled all the way up to the street, but this particular, just the nuances of the zoning ordinance requires us to have a 20-foot front setback. So here's a layout that we did removing the parking from the back. In this ordinance, it allows parking to not be in the front. You have to be behind the front plane of the building. So we're showing parking behind the front plane of the building on the side. I'm showing you where we can fit 7 spaces. We will only have 6. It's just determining, you know, whether our garage will be for 4 or for 3, you know, but we have room for 3 outside. It does have the 24 feet to turn around and all that stuff. So this is a plan that can meet that same requirement. It just has parking on the side and not on the front. And, you know, in regards to like, if we have to have a shared driveway, that only makes this layout even more, work even more. Our driveway would slide down, we have a shared driveway with our neighbor next door. So it only furthermore makes the site even more compatible there. Now, I don't know in regards to that, is if there is an easement, right, and there is a shared driveway, how do we deal with a buffer along a shared driveway?
Yeah, so driveways can be in the buffer yard.
Okay.
So that wouldn't be a big deal. That's the same thing that happened with this project at Sanford and Wrights Mill. They got a driveway in the buffer yard too.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, so if anything, our driveway may slide down. We'll continue to work with the neighbor next door about that. But anyways, so I just wanted to show you all that and kind of explain how we were showing the drive in the rear. You're crunched on time. I was trying to convince Justice that the 5-foot building setback was better than the 20, but we could only do what the ordinance shows. So that's kind of where we landed. So happy to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, commissioners?
Okay, move to approve KCU 2024-021.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
So I guess I just want to kind of add a lot of the nuances just kind of around the driveway and things. Those things being handled kind of during DRT, and I guess you guys, I would say probably talk to the new property owner, or I guess you guys kind of request from the city, just kind of eventually kind of once those plans are approved, just kind of what the status of the shared driveway will be, and that way you guys can kind of see the plans for that.
Yeah,
So.
the easement is with probate.
Yeah.
I brought my attorney with me.
All right. So this is a request for conditional use of a performance residential use and multiple unit development. It's located at 613 and 615 Laverne Avenue in the Development District Housing Zoning District. Subject property is comprised of 2 lots, approximately 26,000 square feet. The future land use plan does designate this property as neighborhood preservation. The intent of that is to keep the existing density and the housing types of stable and existing neighborhoods. So the proposed development is technically not in line with the future land use plan. However, it does meet the requirements for what DDH, the zoning district, allows in density. The applicant is proposing to construct 3 units, each containing 3 bedrooms and 3.5 baths. There is a distinction between a multiple unit development and an ADDU. Right now, as the floor plans show, 40% of the livable area is private space, leaving 60%, so there is a majority common space. So it's not an ADDU, which is a use that's not permitted in DDH. One thing to note is that in DDH, occupancy is limited to family, the family definition. Commonly, developments like this don't typically cater to those who meet the family definition. I can answer any questions if you have them. There is one staff recommended condition for approval, and that's for consolidation plat
Of the lot.
of the 2 lots.
Correct, yes. So it's conditional use because it's MUD?
Correct.
In DDH?
Correct.
Got it. Okay. Commissioners, this does require a public hearing. I'm gonna go ahead and open the public hearing at this time for Laverne Avenue MUD. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Jessica Rosar. I'm the building designer for this project. I'm just making myself known in case you have questions. The client originally, when they purchased the property, wanted to do more density, but when we started looking through the zoning, this is where we're tied into. So we're just trying to get the most out of their investment. I wanted to point out that with the floor plan, we are focusing on a family-style home layout. So we're aware of those requirements. That's all I have.
Thank you. Please sign in if you haven't. Thank you. Anyone else like to come forward?
I'm Greg Howard, resident down there at 623 Vern Avenue. I'm just coming aware of the multi-unit on the street in our neighborhood. We want to keep it single-family home. I think this here more aligns with student housing, you know, something like, and we, you know, I kind of pose against that. You know, single families, you know, I'm for that, you know. I don't want to bring a lot of more traffic in than we already have. It's already some kind of over there. There's a lot of parking already on our street already that we don't like, that we really don't need. I wish they could park on the other side. It's something, I'm not even sure kind of really what it is. But it's not, no, that's not even a single family home. But that's gonna bring, you know, and it's hard to even get out our driveways when we're trying to get in a driveway, park out the driveway, because there's a lot of cars on there that don't even really live over there, you know what I mean? So I just don't get why they want to do a multi-unit there. Single family home, yeah, family, hey, I'm all for it. But that there, no, I oppose that greatly, you know. So I just want to say my piece and just please, let's keep it single family home. I'm all for that. Thank you.
Thank you. I knew you were coming next.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Charles Campbell. My wife and I live in 767 North Donahue Drive, which is adjacent. So our backyard faces this entire lot. So I moved there, purchased the home in 2009. I can say that I've worked with students. I graduated from Auburn, moved here in '99, graduated, worked for the university for 12 years. I worked directly in student affairs, Greek life. So I understand students themselves quite a bit. Across the street from us, in front of the home, across Donahue, there's already, I think, 2 or 3 units that are directly across that are student housing. Again, like Mr. Greg over there, not opposed to single-family housing. But now that I walk out in my backyard, what used to be trees and a natural sound buffer, a natural blocking is no longer there. So if I go out to light my fire pit and just, you know, sit out, enjoy some music, enjoy the fresh air, I can now see my neighbors, which is a good thing, but at the same time, we also had a buffer between us. And so the concern is, while it is designated for single-family use, we understand that may or may not be the case. And so to have students there, like I said, you know, understand how student life works, but my wife and I just recently got married. We're just celebrating 1.5 years. I'm hoping to start a family pretty soon. So, you know, that could affect, you know, our livelihood, our peace of mind, things of that nature. So this wasn't told to us when we moved in. When I heard construction on Saturday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning when trees started coming down, like what's going on? So now we see, so you gotta think about construction costs, construction noise that will be happening, as well as what could potentially be there. Again, not opposed to new construction, not opposed to progress in the city of Auburn. I've seen it change a lot over the last 25 years, so not opposed to that. But I really want the developers and builders to think about the families that are there. I'm not native here, but I've chosen this to be my home. This has been my only other place I've lived since I left my hometown in North Alabama. So just think about that. I have pictures. I don't know if this is the time to show those, but I do have pictures of what it looked like in my backyard to what it looks like now. It is a huge difference. My neighbor and myself also like to grill out occasionally, so that now there's a different perspective, a different feel of how that property is now. And so now it's like, okay, if something is built there, who's going to take care of that barrier now? There's now nothing blocking our house, providing privacy and things of that nature. So that's my case here is that, and also the parking, the kids that are on the street, on the side street on Laverne. There's a lot of kids that go to a reading area back there or after school program there and kids that naturally live there. So if you add potential student housing, guest over, that's more congestion along that very short window of a street, already on a busy street. We already have Drake Middle School, which is right there, so I know how it is coming out of my house in the mornings. So you're talking about additional traffic both during the week and on the weekend. So that's something just to be very considerate of the dynamics and changing of the neighborhood. So with that, I yield my time.
Thank you so much. Please sign in. Anyone else who would like to come forward?
My name is Tangi Sheely. I just want to piggyback.
Your address.
608 Laverne, that's where my mom lives. She lives right across from where the house will be built. I also live with me and my husband, right next door to Charvis. So just to piggyback on what he said about, you know, the privacy and now with all the noise and how we grill in the back, and you know, with that being said, it's like open and we don't have that privacy anymore. Also on 608 Laverne is where my mom lives. She got a Habitat house built. There's 3 others that's in the area. Also with our home, it's really congested. So we like trying to get to my mom's house and it's like a maze, trying to maneuver through the different cars that's over in that area. So just to say, far as the high-rise houses, and I oppose that, but family-oriented homes, we're all for it. Also, with the Fraser Terrence subdivision was approved by the city in 1946. The neighborhood consists of only single-family homes. The future land use plan designates the property as neighborhood preservation, which means the density and housing type should be retained, and not the high-rise student housing, but more family-oriented homes. And that's all I want to say.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Please sign in. Anyone else would like to come forward?
My name is Travis Gilliard. I live with my mom at 619 Laverne Avenue. We're pretty much right beside the new development that they want to bring in, and we're already being affected. You know, we got new rodents. You know, we got we got a family of raccoon that lives in our trash can, and so where do they come from? And so, but like everyone on the street is saying, we're not opposed to single family, because you know, we would love, you know, to see a single family, you know, on our street. But for three units or multi units, like that's 12 people. That's 12 parking spots. We already have no parking on Laverne. Like our house situation at the end of the street, like they take over our street. We've asked several times because they park over in Ridgecrest where they help the kids at. They don't help anybody on Laverne. So, but like we all like to stick together, and like they're saying, like we are definitely not opposed to more single families, but we really don't want students on our street. Just pretty much. Thank you.
Thank you. Please sign in. Anyone else who would like to come forward?
live at 624 Westview Drive. It's a place we're living in is just a home, one-story home, and there's just a few houses in there, and they found that they got 2 vacant lots in there, and they want to put apartment house, 2-story or something like that, 3-story for people, and our parking ain't that good neither. And we got a family there. They got 3 cars. I mean, they had 3 cars, and they bought 3 more cars, and nowhere to park. So that side of the road is a problem. If they bring some apartments in there, there's gonna be more parking, so nobody gonna be able to go through and come out. And so, it's been nice for a few years, but when I went in there, you could see for miles in a row. It was nice, but out there now, it look kind of like uptown Auburn. Nowhere used to be just a few buildings, with no 2-story building. Guess what we got now? It look good, but they overdone it. And but Auburn's a nice place to stay. And I live on Westview Drive. I got a Sanger house, and I like it. That right off of Westview Drive. That right off of Donahue, Westview Drive Got a home place on 4th Street in I got a sister over there in it's pretty good going at this point. It was better over there than it is over there where I'm at, but we're just trying to live and trying to make it, But these houses keep going up, and these cars keep coming in, and ain't no room to widen the street, and so we just got a mess with them houses going up and up, and ain't quite enough room. Yes, there's enough room to put a house in there, but they putting them in there. And some of them houses ain't enough room to walk around. And so we need a little bit more room in there. Please don't let nothing there come in. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I think she actually did it for you. I think you're good.
Oh, you did, thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else before I close this public hearing? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing tonight for Luverne Street. I think, to me, I have a couple of comments. We don't allow the ADDUs in this area, and parking is already provided on the lot off the street.
That is correct.
Okay. Even though we're just here for conditional use for the MUD, just to clarify a couple of things.
Yep.
I don't know if they're rentals, I don't know if they're being sold, I don't know that answer.
Mhm.
But the other part is, it's not zoned for 5 unrelated people to live here. It is zoned for no more than 2 unrelated people to live here.
Yeah, and so I guess kind of the mechanism for that. So if there were any doubts about that or suspicions about that, people could report that to the city, and that is something that inspections would get to the bottom of.
But with that much available space, it seems to me that, I'm close to the campus, I'd put all my friends in with me. I really have a problem with this because of the idea that, you're talking that in the comprehensive plan, that this is neighborhood preservation.
Right.
So what are we preserving here? We're not preserving a neighborhood. What we're doing is we're putting high density into a neighborhood. Now, DDH has its purposes, I think, you know, when you're building a new development out somewhere and you're planning it and you're working it in, you're not just plopping, even though this is zone DDH, you're not just plopping high density in the middle of a single-family neighborhood. I have a real hard time with that.
Let's talk about density in DDH.
Mhm.
What can it be?
Yeah, so performance subdivisions in DDH are 5.5 dwelling units an acre. I guess I'd have to. How big is this? So,
Just about half an acre.
yeah. So she is correct. She did come when we had our discussion around this. They were initially proposing more density, and we told them like, hey, the density cap is this. You wouldn't be able to do that. And so they're moving forward from a unit standpoint. As you all know, from a DDH is regulated on units, not by bed. So the units, like this is compliant. It's just still, like I said, this is kind of the entire reason, kind of Phil, kind of what you talked about. That's why single family housing is permitted by right, and kind of the other options that they are allowed in DDH, but they're conditional uses, and contextual conditional uses just kind of around, does this make sense? Does this kind of fit our future land use plan? Those aspects are reasons to consider.
Does it fit the surrounding neighborhood?
Correct.
No.
Correct.
Let me, I do have a
It is
question.
only 3 units, right?
Yeah.
They are not multi.
No.
Three, okay.
Yeah, and so I guess kind of if you want to, I guess, did we have, I feel like the exhibit should have what it looks like. If you want to go to the next one, not that one. Yeah.
The elevation.
Yeah, that elevation. So these aren't 3 stories. These aren't the ADUs that you guys may see, or even the ones kind of over off of Fraser Street over there, where they are 3 stories and they're kind of
Is
stacked.
considered to be condos?
They could condo it, but I mean, I don't think that's what they intended. I think they haven't really disclosed what they were gonna do. They were just hoping to build this many units and move forward with that.
I agree with Phil. This is a neighborhood preservation, which means it maintains the character of what exists already. And I don't see that this maintains the character at all, so I will oppose this.
So how does it fit in with neighborhood preservation?
Yeah, so neighborhood preservation, I guess, different from, I guess it's the future land use version of neighborhood conservation, which is the zoning district of it. And so preservation really kind of speaks to preserving the existing character of the neighborhood. And so character really can be defined as, lot size, use, I think even kind of the landscaping and the foliage, just kind of from housing types. And so that's kind of what it speaks to. And so if there were like a hodgepodge of, different uses, different densities, where there were some existing triplexes over here, quadplexes kind of had always been, that'd be different if the zoning permitted it. But the neighborhood preservation really does speak to whatever the predominant use is and the character of that street. It needs to be maintained with any new development. And so that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to exclude that.
So they're presented as MUDs, but are they, single-family homes?
Yeah, so great question. So these would be single family homes if they were on its own lot, but that's so that's the other thing. So the street frontage, I'd have to measure it real fast, but I don't think they'd be able to go any. Yeah, I feel like this is already performance, and so I don't think they'd have the necessary street frontage to get 3 houses.
It's on 2 lots currently.
Right.
It's on 2 lots.
Right. So what I'm saying is I don't think they could create a third. You'd need the necessary street frontage to do that.
In a row.
Street frontage of the combined lots is 142 feet, and they're well split evenly.
Yeah. So I just kind of
70, which I think is the limit.
really
Are you
sorry.
the applicant?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. I guess so. So she's the applicant. So I guess
Okay.
so if she would like to speak, she'd have to come back up to the mic. But so to her point, though, 142 doesn't allow for performance subdivision of 3 more lots. The minimum lot width is 50, so they need a variance to obtain 3 lots.
So now I'm confused. This plat or this conditional use presents 3 homes on those 2 lots. And what you're saying is they can't do that. They can do 2 of those homes on this lot.
No,
It means,
if they had 2 lots, if they made it a true subdivision, but they're coming for multiple unit development.
Right, and remember that there was a condition that they'd have to do a consolidation plat for it to be 3 units on one lot, which would then be the multiple unit development. And so what they are allowed to do would be single family housing on
I
each
ask
lot.
if they're condos.
Correct. Yeah.
to do 2 of those.
Correct. Yeah.
Approval to do 3 of those.
Correct. With a consolidation plat.
With consolidation.
With consolidation of a lot, yeah.
And then also, there wouldn't. So normally, like in situations like this, you might have people where they'll do like a cul-de-sac or a lollipop kind of deal, where they'll turn into it, and then that way they can then have the frontage necessary. But that's not possible, so because you can't have. We wouldn't take this as a public street, and you wouldn't be able to subdivide off of a private street to do that either. So that's why they're coming before you guys with the MUD. That's why there's condition that it would have to have a consolidation plat.
And DDH, what's the family?
Yeah. So DDH is the family definition where no more than 2 unrelated, and so.
So that's what we're looking for too.
Correct.
It exists.
Right.
Yeah.
Changing with whether they build it or not.
Well, again, this is neighborhood preservation. This neighborhood, as it states in our plan, the staff has stated, was approved in 1946. That is 79 years. So I'm still a no.
Any other questions, comments, motions?
I'd like to make the motion to approve the conditional use of 397 Martin Avenue, CU 202.
Laverne.
Laverne, sorry, conditional, I knew. 613 Laverne Avenue, CU 2025055.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Laverne Avenue MUD. Roll call, please.
Nanette Reese,
Yes.
Dana Camp,
No.
Bill Chancellor,
No.
Jennifer Lovering,
No.
Vanessa Eccles,
No.
Jennifer Stevens, Walker Davis.
No.
Thank you.
It failed.
5-2.
This goes to Planning Commission, City Council.
Yeah. So this would go to City Council at the next meeting, or not the next meeting because I guess that's no. It would be the next meeting.
21st.
21st. I'm sorry.
21st.
No. Yeah, I'm sorry. So I guess you have any questions, you can wait until afterwards to ask staff, but you can't talk anymore outside the public hearing. Sorry about that.
Okay, next.
All right, we have another conditional use request for 397 Martin Avenue. This is an MUD, multiple unit development. The property is located at the northwest corner of North Ross Street and Martin Avenue and is in the redevelopment district. You can see in this prox map that you're kind of looking at kind of the end of North Ross Street if you're looking at the vicinity map right here. So it is kind of going up along North Street or North Ross Street as well as Martin Avenue. And the future land use does show this area as medium/high density residential. So this is the main exhibit right here. You can see it's a 5-unit, multiple unit development. The northern part of the property which is over here, is obviously in the floodplain. So therefore it is not being used, as well as the topography is kind of, what do you say, just undesirable for development because it's kind of goes up and down everywhere. So that's why it's not being shown for development. So, but other than that, I am happy to answer some questions.
Do you have questions for staff this time? This does require a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing for 397 Martin Avenue Townhomes. At this time, if anyone would like to come forward and speak. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Questions, comments, motions? This is zoned RDD.
Yes.
MUD is the same.
Yes, and so yeah, and so I guess kind of, I think he talked about it earlier, but even though it does say townhomes, and I think it's townhome style, it is technically an MUD. The use is an MUD, so it's multiple units on one lot.
Okay.
Move to approve case WZ 2025-005.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
It was the wrong one.
Oh yeah, they're good. Oh, what do you? All right, let me. Okay, 144 South Ross Street waiver request. All right, so the action requested is a waiver of 3 feet to the minimum ground story height of 15 feet for ground story residential to allow a ground story height of 12 feet at 144 South Ross Street. All right. Yeah, so, all right. So this is right down the street from here. You guys may remember you guys recently approved a similar waiver along the street frontage at the development to the south of this. We had a DDRC meeting on Tuesday with the Downtown Development Review Commission, I guess for everybody who doesn't like acronyms. And so had a good conversation just around what the intent of that language is, since the DDRC governs, and I guess was kind of the origin of the standards in the design tables. And so I guess if we could go to the renderings. Get the renderings. Yeah, so they really like the development. I think also there was greater discussion. I guess this is a site plan. Can you go to the next one? Yeah, there we go. So there was a lot of discussion around, I guess there was really just kind of a lot of discussion about the development. There really wasn't much discussion about the height restriction. I think their intent was 15 feet made a lot more sense kind of in the urban core, made a lot more sense in an area that was a lot more urban, where they kind of saw the proliferation of aggressive mixed use at the ground level. For the urban neighborhoods, they were a little miffed by the 15 feet being this far down, and I think that's something that they want to change. And so when we're looking at the table 5-6 and we're opening up the zone ordinance soon, this is going to be one of those high priority items that gets addressed. I think this is something that they want to talk about. But from a height standpoint, they were very supportive of the waiver. They understood. They also thought it was a decent development. So yeah, like I said, I think 95% of the conversation was about other aspects, and I think that's how supportive that they were. It was really kind of, we understand why you're asking for 12. We just granted 12 on the other side. And also there's a statement that I think they want to change the 15-foot of minimum floor story requirement on the ground floor. And I think also that it's time to do that, just because of the redevelopment pressure in the urban neighborhoods, especially urban neighborhood east, is not slowing down anytime soon. So.
Thank you. This is a waiver and does not require a public hearing. I was on this when we did the whole 15 feet, not realizing that it went this far, and also on the other side of West, as far down as West Glen is.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually agree completely.
I have a question of staff. Looking at this rendering of the front that's going to be on Ross, right?
No, so I guess can you go to is there another rendering that's included? Yeah, that's what would be. Yeah, those are the sides that'd be facing Ross. Well, one of those is. I think one of those is the west elevation.
Because did we not in that last one that we granted the waiver down?
Correct. And so correct. And so that was kind of two parts. So there was the 10-foot elevation on the internal ones that weren't visible from the street, and there was a 5-foot waiver for those, and there was a 3-foot waiver for the ones that face along the street.
Right.
This one, it was just asking for the blanket 12, and I guess this one is, the other one was multiple buildings, and so there was kind of the L building that kind of wrapped the street, and there was the other building that was internal. This is one building.
Didn't they have to make it appear that it was taller? than it was?
No, so
by the
s-
front?
yeah. So that is what people have been doing. So when you walk Ross Street now, that's why there. And I guess the applicant's here. He'd love to tell you about it. Gives a spiel, but there's the steps, there's the porch, and then they'll have this grand entrance. And then all of a sudden you're 4 feet above it. Then they have 11-foot ceilings, and it looks 15 feet. It's kind of how they've been handling it. Kind of how the interpretation has gone. But they are only required for it to be 12 feet. That's why they got the waiver. And so it'd kind of be the same thing with this one. It would just be the waiver of 3 feet, which will allow it to be 12. And so it's not, I guess it would just still have to appear to be 12 feet.
And so when they had the meeting in DDRC, they said they were fine with it.
Yes, and like I said, I think their position is from a residential standpoint, it does not make sense for ceilings to be, for a floor to be 15 feet. And I guess kind of even when you hear the 12 feet, it's kind of a misnomer of what the ceiling height would be. I think it'd only be about 10 and a half, just kind of once you have like the floor system and all that. Sitting in on these meetings, I kind of feel like a very bad architect. But that's what they talk about. There's the floor systems and then like all the other things that kind of go within it. But like I said, their position is very strong that they want to get rid of the 15-foot in the urban neighborhoods. And like I said, I think at the time of this, there were places kind of on Urban Neighborhood West where this was happening in student development. But this in Urban Neighborhood East and kind of Urban Neighborhood South, what you're seeing is this, massive levels of redevelopment. But now these are much more residential that aren't student-based, where, we'll just, not that, like, I guess, I'll just say, I think you can, in some student developments, you can be a little more careless about kind of what the appearance might be.
Right.
And I think on these, and I think especially with this developer in particular, they are not careless about the appearance. And so I think that's what's happening on a lot of these.
I thought that originally we were requiring them to have commercial on the bottom, even in that area.
So there are, so that is correct. So there are certain streets in town where residential is not an option, like similar to Opelika Road, but even more intense in our urban core, where residential on the ground floor is not an option at all. And like it.
But that was why the 15 feet was required.
Well, yeah, and I guess kind of there's an.
For a brownstone look when we went through this whole process.
Correct. And I guess and there is a provision for commercial on the ground floor. It's 18 feet. And so there's the mark that just got built, and they had to meet 18 feet. And theirs got weird because it had slopes in it. But the DDRC's interpretation, and I guess their position kind of going forward, is that 15 feet is too high, even for an urban feel for residential. I think they'll probably comfortably hang out at about the 12 feet range.
Again, this does not require public hearing, this waiver. If Commissioner has a motion.
Move to approve case WZ 2025-005.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, other business. I do have some other business.
Oh yeah, see, yeah.
Mrs. Wendy Birmingham passed away earlier this week, and I just wanted to take a moment for her service on this board and commission. And it's sad to hear the news, but as a commission, we did send an arrangement for the family. So. Do we have any other communication? Any upcoming meetings?
No, I guess just kind of things we're working through. So that's it. I don't anticipate the volume slowing down. I think every day Katie's staying late, sending out more and more pre-app requests. So it just kind of never ends. So we'll see. Hopefully we don't break the 20 threshold next month, but I doubt it.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
squeaked it back on, and then squeaked by all the Alabama defense, floating that shot up and in the cup. Auburn's largest lead was 8 points, but the last 7 minutes of the game belonged to Bama. Mark Sears with a reverse finish, tying the game at 59 all. Brandon Miller capped off the Crimson Crew's attack in the hoop and scoring to put the Tide up 4. There was no looking back. Final score, Alabama 77, Auburn 69 in a rivalry thriller.